Hey viewers, welcome to another game analysis by the Casual Pro Gamer. Today we're doing Wicked playing Vladimir, and this is, I think, game 4 or 5 that I've been doing from Vladimir. So we're once again going to watch the laning phase, and we're going to see another mid laner play him. So Wicked is currently on team CLG EU. When this game was played, he wasn't, so this is a while back, but it's not about the item choices, it's not about the meta game, it's about how to play Vladimir. I know some of you don't like it when I do older games, because it's not directly applicable to the current situation. By the way, that is the reason why he's starting off with the Door and Shield here, and you can still do Door and Shield with Health Potion here, so this is pretty old. By the way, he is installing some random gadget here to play some music while he's playing, so that's why he's not really paying attention to the game here in the beginning. Yeah, he is up against Ashe, something we don't see a whole lot anymore, but yeah, the play is kind of the same. It doesn't really matter against who you play. The only thing that really matters is what their abilities are. So, do they have an early stun? Do they have or snare or whatever? Are they melee or ranged? Things like that. So the really basic things. So Ashe can be viewed as the same champion as, well, some others. I don't know, she doesn't really play the same, and especially in the end game, but in the beginning the only thing she has that matters is her volley. For the rest she has no utility, so she has nothing that is going, and the fact that she's ranged obviously, instead of a melee champion. For the rest she has nothing that can really be considered a threat in this early game. Anyway, that out of the way, we see him picking up the E at level 2 and Q at levels 1 and 3. And we've been seeing him harass Ashe quite a bit with the E as well as the Q. And yeah, well, using the Q to farm as well. So in this case you can see he would rather use the Q on Ashe than actually pick up the minion that he just lost to the turret. And yeah, that is significant of the play that he demonstrates. In this case, he says, or well, he's thinking that it is more important to do damage to Ashe, because Ashe only had one healing potion, just like he did. But he can sustain much longer because he's Vladimir. And as Vladimir, you have the advantage of basically being able to ignore any harassment that's being done on you, because you have your Q, you have your lifesteal. Also, because he has the Door and Shield, he has extra armor, so it takes less damage from Ashe. And he has one healing potion, which he can use if he gets really low. But he can stay in lane until he finds it important to actually go back. So yeah, the enemy jungler is still a threat. You can see that it's not really a big deal, because Vladimir, as I said in previous games, is being pushed to his turret quite a lot in the early game, and that's why we see people using the E kind of at random, even when the lane isn't pushing. So like now, we normally see people using the E to just take down the minions a little bit to make sure that the lane doesn't push too much. And I'm not really sure how that is, that the lane is always pushing, because, well, the harassment of Ashe does push the lane a little bit. If she harasses with volley, it pushes a little bit, but it's not like it's a significant amount of damage. And against Morgana, obviously, that was a different story. But yeah, well, Morgana farms with an AoE skill, which kind of turns your lane into a one-sided march of minions, because she can just take out all of the minions with one E, I think that is. So it seems that Ashe is now going back to base, and that means that she is going to lose some minions. and some XP and everything good. So unfortunately, Vladimir can't really uh, kill the minions on his own side. So he cannot make Ash lose more than just the minions that are going to die because of his minions. And he didn't really push it into the turret, so he is now going to help out bottom lane. He pushed the minions up too far for him to stay in and be confident that he could actually get out. And he is level 6 now, that's why he's going to help out some other lane. So I'm not sure if the bottom laners are actually paying attention to this. It seems they are just happily farming. Of course, you shouldn't really go super aggressive against someone just because your jungler is here, or in this case your mid laner. But yeah, they did pay attention. The ultimate comes out, and yeah, the two bottom laners immediately tower dive there. Obviously, the mid laner did realize that he probably was somewhere else, and unfortunately they're going to lose 2 kills for it. But the idea was good. The idea behind the madness was pretty excellent. Going in for an early harass on the enemy, it was kind of unfortunate to do that behind the turret, because that way both of his teammates needed to tower dive, and so they would take a few tower shots, making it easier for the enemies to hold them off. And in the end, I think there was a 3-for-1 trade, or 3-for-2 trade, I mean. Didn't really see. Yeah, it was up on the screen. I don't want to really reverse it. And the quality of the video isn't really good enough for me to see it on the screen here. So it is, I think, 3-for-2. This is still, as I said, way back, so the team it really had a smaller font and can't really read it, but when he pulls it back up I will try to watch what it actually says. So we're back in the lane now. It seems to be 3-2. So hang on, 1-1, 1-1-1, so yeah, 3-2. Yeah, going back into the lane. He isn't using his E a whole lot, which is significant change from what we saw before. And yeah, the E is really your AoE pushing skill. It can push minion waves quite quickly, and as you can see, the tower kills the minions quite rapidly, and you can really utilize that to deny experience, deny gold to your opponent. And yeah, if you're weak like Vladimir is, especially in the early game, you really don't want to push too much, but if you're going to go back anyway, you might as well. So if you're going to go back to base, or your laning opponent is out of the lane, you might as well push a little bit. And if you have wards out, they have 1 ward out, but it's not really helping them too much. But if you have wards out, you can push a little bit more, because you have a little bit more protection. The best ward spots would of course be at enemy raids, and yeah, in the bush that goes around the side lane, or the river over here, so on the right side of the screen, but a little bit further, so not the one that crosses the river, but the next one, the one that goes around this kind of obstacle, but on the other side. Those would be the 2 best ward spots. You can see the river from there, and you can see the ganks incoming from other directions as well. So it seems that Ash just planted the ward. I haven't really seen him check the items on Ash. It is always yeah, there is an empty spot there, so that might have been a ward. It is always good to check the items on your opponents when they come back from base. and Ash now using her last healing potion. So if you keep track of the items that people have, so your laning opponents, but also other opponents, you can see how many wards they plant, when they plant wards, and yeah, you can derive from that where they placed it, because now, for example, Ash ran out of the lane but didn't have a ward, so she didn't place a ward. It's as easy as that. But if you didn't know that, if you didn't know whether she had a ward or not, yeah, she might have, or you might warn your jungler against a ward that's not there. So Vladimir staying completely back here, and could have easily done some damage in that fight. Probably wouldn't be able to help his teammates a whole lot, but would have at least made it more difficult for this one enemy to get out of that. And we haven't seen him use pull at all this game. Yeah, he used it right before he got killed, but that's about it. So might actually have used it in this last fight, so he could do some more damage and then get out with the pull. But instead he chose to flash out immediately, or almost immediately, and yeah, preventing Ash from going back here. And once again preventing Ash from going back here. And it may seem insignificant, but just watch what happens. She's going to have to stay in, because the minions are going to be at her turret now, meaning that he still has his pull up, so it's no problem. He was waiting for the ultimate from Malphite, and yeah, the ultimate never came, so that's good as well. I mean, doesn't matter. But he was going to pull through the ultimate, and it wouldn't hit him, and that way drawing out an ultimate for nothing. Also, the Ash arrow might have come out, and if you pull too quickly, you might not get that, or you might not prevent the stun there. So that's it. Unfortunately, a very short game, or well, very short. It's 14 minutes. Yeah, the loading screen took a little longer than expected. I don't know if he pulled up any stat screens near the end. No, he didn't really. After that fight, he probably had a stat screen up. But anyway, we saw him stay a little bit further away, because Ash, of course, is an AD carry. She does a lot of damage, and every time you get harassed, it is pretty significant. Also because yeah, Ash was yeah, has a longer range than he does. It is hard to harass her, but he did harass her quite a bit. Obviously, Ash did a good job of staying alive, but she does use a lot of mana to harass him. Yeah, there we go, stat screen. Let's hope we can actually see what's going on. 75 minions for him, and 70 minions for Ash. So he did prevent some of the farming. He did make her go back earlier than she would have liked, and he did prevent her in the end to go back, which, yeah, seems insignificant, but sometimes you can prevent people from going back, and they have to stay in at low health, because otherwise they lose too many minions, and they can either choose to stay in at low health or lose those minions, and most of them will choose to stay in. And because they stay in, you can get an easy kill, or, well, one of your teammates can get an easy kill. Or maybe you can have the same thing that he had here, which is, at the moment she goes back, you can go back, and neither of you will lose a whole lot of minions compared to the other. But since you already used this time, so this time in between the moment she first wanted to go back and the moment she actually goes back, all of that time you have been farming minions, where she has not been farming minions at all, because she was trying to go back all the time. And yeah, well, sometimes you can get an advantage out of that. You have to keep in mind that it is really risky because, well, you see that here. If the enemy would have launched a little bit more of an offensive, um, they might have been able to actually get him. But he got out okay because he still had his Sanguine Pool up. Of course, you need to keep that in mind. Sanguine Pool is something really defensive and should almost never be used offensively. And that's why you only have one level in it. But it's one of those skills that is there purely for utility, should never be used for anything else. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. It's not really the most interesting game that we've seen, but it was definitely a different play style, especially because it was against a different champion. And yeah, I will see you next time. GG.